The vampire who could hear her last thought. The rain never stopped in Black Hollow. For 13 nights, the old forest town remained covered in storms so heavy that even the church bells sounded drowned. Dr. Elena Carter arrived there against her will. The hospital transferred her after a patient died during surgery in the city. Rumors blamed her. Newspapers called her the cold-handed doctor. Black Hollow General Hospital sat at the edge of the forest like a dying animal. Half the lights worked. The hallways smelled of medicine and mold. And every local warned her about one thing: never go near the old church after midnight. Alina ignored them. She didn't believe in ghost stories anymore, not after watching real people die on operating tables. But strange things began immediately. Patients whispered the same name before sleep: Lucien. Children drew the same pale man with black eyes. And every night at exactly 2:13 a.m., Elena heard footsteps outside her apartment window, despite living on the fourth floor. Then the dream started. A man standing in the rain, blood running from his mouth, a whisper inside her head: "You were not supposed to come back here." One stormy evening, the hospital received an emergency patient. Male. No heartbeat, no pulse, body temperature impossibly cold, yet somehow still alive. When Elena entered the operating room, her hands froze. It was the man from her dreams. Pale skin, dark silver eyes, black coat soaked with rainwater, beautiful in a terrifying way. The patient suddenly opened his eyes and grabbed her wrist. The monitors exploded, every light in the room died, and inside her mind, she heard his voice clearly. "Elena, you still smell the same." She stumbled backward in horror. He knew her name, but she had never seen him before. Or so she thought. The man disappeared from the hospital before sunrise. No cameras recorded him leaving. No records existed of his arrival. Only one nurse whispered the truth to Elena. "That's Lucien Vale." The name terrified the staff. According to town legend, Lucien belonged to an ancient vampire clan slaughtered over a century ago inside the abandoned church near the forest. Everyone in the clan died, except one. Since then, people disappeared during heavy storms, always drained of blood, always near the church. Elena tried to leave town the next morning, but the roads flooded overnight. She was trapped. That night, Lucien appeared inside her apartment without opening the door. He stood silently in the darkness, watching her, not like prey, like grief. "You shouldn't have returned," he said softly. Elena grabbed a knife. "How do you know me?" Lucien stared at her with unbearable sadness. "Because I watched you die." Slowly, the truth emerged. 100 years ago, Elena had another life. She was Evelyn, the daughter of a priest, and she had fallen in love with Lucien, the vampire hidden beneath the church. When the town discovered them, they burned the entire vampire clan alive. Evelyn tried to save Lucien. Instead, she died in the fire. Lucien survived, and for a century, he waited for her reincarnation. But there was something worse. Something Lucien refused to tell her. Every vampire could hear the final thought of the person they loved most when that person died. Lucien had heard Evelyn's last thought for 100 years. And it was not, "I love you." It was, "I'm afraid of you." Elena began falling for him despite the horror surrounding him. He protected her from creatures lurking in the forest, shadow-like vampires from another clan hunting Lucien. But the closer they became, the more unstable Lucien grew. Because vampires in his bloodline carried a curse. The moment they truly felt loved, they lost control of their hunger. One night, during another storm, Elena kissed him. Lucien immediately collapsed in agony. His veins turned black, bones cracked, his eyes transformed into something monstrous. He locked himself inside the church basement before sunrise, and screams echoed from underground until morning. Then the bodies appeared. 3 townspeople, drained completely. The town blamed Lucien. Hunters surrounded the church with weapons and fire. Elena ran through the rain to warn him. But inside the church basement, she discovered the horrifying truth. Lucien had chained himself to the walls all night. He was innocent. Someone else was killing. Another vampire emerged from the shadows, a woman with burned skin and silver eyes. Celine, the only surviving member of Lucian's clan, his former lover. She had survived the massacre by feeding on the dying, and for 100 years she hated Elena. You made him weak, Celine whispered. Then she smiled cruelly. He never told you the real ending. Celine revealed the final secret. Evelyn had not died accidentally. Lucian himself killed her to save her from becoming a monster during the church fire. For a century, he carried the guilt alone. The hunters set the church ablaze again. History repeated itself. Fire spread through stained glass windows. Smoke swallowed the halls. Celine attacked Elena, intending to turn her into a vampire forever. Lucian stopped her. The two vampires tore through the burning church like demons. Bones shattered. Blood covered the altar. In the end, Lucian ripped out Celine's heart, but he was mortally wounded. The fire consumed the church around them. Elena dragged him outside into the rain. For the first time in a century, Lucian looked peaceful. I can't survive sunrise, he whispered. Elena cried as dawn slowly appeared behind the forest. Then Lucian touched her face gently, and finally heard different final words from the woman he loved. Not fear, not regret. I would choose you again. And Lucian turned to ash in her arms. Weeks later, the storm stopped over Black Hollow. Elena prepared to leave town forever, but before boarding the train, she found a sealed letter inside her coat pocket. Old, burned at the edges, written in Lucian's handwriting. The letter ended with one sentence. If you are reading this, then I failed to stay dead. Far away, deep beneath the forest, Silver Eyes opened in darkness, and the rain began again.
The rain hasn't stopped in Black Hollow for 13 nights. And tonight, I finally heard your voice again. If this letter reached you, then fate has repeated its cruel game. You are alive, reborn, breathing beneath the same storm that once buried us both. I told myself for a century that I would stay away from you if you ever returned. I believed distance was mercy. But the moment I saw you again inside that hospital, I knew I was lying to myself. You still look at darkness the same way, like you are searching for something inside it or someone. Perhaps you do not remember the fire, the church bells screaming while flames swallowed the stained glass, the townspeople calling me monster, or the way your trembling hands reached for me even while death surrounded us. But I remember everything. That is my curse. Vampires do not simply remember love, we drown inside it forever. For 100 years, I carried your final words inside my mind. Every sunrise, every storm, every drop of blood, fear. You were afraid of me, and you had every reason to be. There are nights when hunger twists me into something unrecognizable, nights when I lock myself beneath the church so I do not become the creature the town always believed I was. But then you appeared again, and suddenly the monster remembered what it felt like to be human. That is why I must warn you, you are not safe here. The shadows moving through Black Hollow are older than death itself. They know you returned. They know what you mean to me, and they will use you to destroy me. If the storms grow louder, do not leave your room after midnight. If you hear footsteps outside your window, do not look down. And if you ever see Silver Eyes watching you from the forest, run, because it may not be me anymore. Still, even after a century of loneliness, guilt, and blood, if I had to choose between eternal darkness and one more moment beside you, I would choose you again. Always, Lucian Vale.
Elena finished reading the letter. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the paper anymore. The rain outside had stopped completely. For the first time in Black Hollow, there was silence. She pressed the letter against her chest and whispered softly, I remember now. A flash of memory hit her. Fire, screams, a hand holding hers inside a burning. Behind her, far inside the forest, two silver eyes opened in the dark, watching, unblinking, alive.